The desert sun burned down relentlessly over Nellie's Air Force Base. Heat waves rippled off the concrete tarmac, twisting the edges of hangar shadows like molten glass. Zara Holt knelt under the belly of an F-22 Raptor, her dark ponytail swinging slightly as she leaned forward, flashlight in one hand, wrench in the other. The metallic scent of jet fuel and hydraulic fluid hung thick in the air, but to Zara, it was more than just smell. It was home. Every bolt, every panel, every rivet on the Raptor felt like a puzzle she had spent years learning to solve. She could almost hear the pulse of the aircraft, as if it were a living organism hiding a heartbeat beneath its titanium skin. Her overalls were smeared with grease in streaks that told stories of hours spent crouched on the cold hangar floor. She didn't mind. Grease was honor in her line of work. It meant she touched what others only dreamed of touching. And the Raptor, with its sharp lines and menacing aerodynamic frame, was no ordinary plane. Pilots called it untamable, a ghost in the sky that had outmaneuvered every trained aviator thrown into its cockpit. Zara, though, didn't need a cockpit. She could read its systems like an open book. "Cute," a voice whispered behind her. She didn't need to look up to know who it was. Lieutenant Greg Mason, leaning lazily against a nearby wing, smirked. His shades reflected the sun in a perfect glint, and he looked the picture of a confident pilot who believed that talent and attitude alone made him untouchable. "Mechanic thinks she's tuning a race car." Another voice snorted from the hangar's edge. "Does she even know what that jet capable of?" It was Petty Officer Thomas, the kind of man who thrived on mocking anyone who wasn't part of the cockpit club. Zara didn't respond. She could feel the irritation rising in her chest, but more than that, she could feel the warning deep in her bones, the sort of warning that screamed, "Today is not an ordinary day." She wiped her hands on her overalls, trying to shake off the tingle of foreboding. A captain appeared suddenly, striding across the hangar with authority. "Holt, command wants you in Hangar 7, now." His tone left no room for argument. Even Mason straightened slightly, eyes narrowing. Something was happening, something serious. Hangar 7 wasn't just another maintenance area. It was restricted, an enclave for top-secret prototypes, projects classified above even the standard F-22 program. Zara's heart quickened. Why were they calling her? She was good at her job, sure, but she was mechanic, not pilot, not test subject. She was supposed to stay out of things like this. She rose, brushing the dust from her knees, and walked toward the hangar, her boots clicking on the concrete floor. Around her, the base buzzed with the normal morning chaos, fuel trucks rumbling past, other F-22s rolling out of hangars, pilots strapping into cockpits, but something felt off. Her instincts tightened like a fist around her ribs. Every step toward Hangar 7 felt heavier, laden with a sense of inevitability she couldn't shake. When she stepped inside, the temperature dropped, not because of the air conditioning, but because of what lay in the center of the hangar, the Raptor prototype. This was a machine no pilot had ever truly tamed, a plane that had resisted every attempt to control it, every human intervention, and now it was powering up on its own. Sparks danced across the maintenance floor like tiny lightning storms, the whirring of the turbines growing louder, almost sentient. Zara froze in place, eyes wide, heart hammering. The aircraft wasn't just on, it was alive. A hush fell over the room. Technicians and pilots who had entered before her froze mid-step, some taking instinctive steps back. One of them whispered, almost reverently, "It's responding to her." Zara's gaze shifted to the colonel standing at the edge of the hangar, his face unreadable, though his eyes betrayed something deeper, fear, and a glimmer of hope. He extended a tablet toward her. The screen displayed a photograph she hadn't seen in years, her, at 15, eyes wide with intensity and determination that only a child prodigy could carry. Underneath the photo, in bold letters, read, "Project Raven, Neural Sync Subject 3. Her stomach sank. Memories she had buried deep, memories of being hooked up to neural interfaces, her thoughts merged with cold machinery, her mind tested and stretched beyond human limits, flooded back. She had fought to forget, to leave that life behind. But apparently, the past didn't want to let her go. "I told you I wanted nothing to do with Raven," she muttered, voice trembling, barely above the hum of the Raptor's systems. The colonel's voice was low, authoritative. "We don't want you, the jet does." Zara's fingers twitched. The jet does. Machines don't choose. Machines don't decide. And yet here it was, calling out to her, responding to her presence as though it recognized her in a way no other human could. A sudden alarm screamed from the jet's console, drawing gasps from the assembled staff. Sparks shot from the floor and the Raptor's engine spooled dangerously. A technician yelled, "Overheating! Someone shut it down!" The colonel's hand gripped her arm, steadying her. "Zara, if you don't stabilize it, the entire hangar could go up." She backed away instinctively. "I'm just a mechanic," she thought, but deep down she knew better. She had been chosen for this. Her hands had once guided neural interfaces that could bend machines to her will. She had survived Raven, and now, somehow, the Raptor was seeking her. The engines roared higher, turbines slicing the air, the entire hangar vibrating as if it were alive. Her breath hitched. She glanced around at the faces of the pilots. The smugness was gone, replaced by raw, unfiltered fear. Even Mason's jaw was tight. Petty Officer Thomas' hands trembled slightly. Her instincts screamed, "Step forward, trust yourself, trust the machine." The colonel's voice cut through her thoughts. "Zara, you're the only one it will obey. Step forward now." Her hands shook, but she took a step closer, brushing her fingers against the aircraft's smooth titanium skin. It pulsed faintly, almost imperceptibly, like the heartbeat of a living creature. "Why me?" she whispered. "I'm not." A soft vibration coursed through the floor. The Raptor's cockpit canopy hissed open as if inviting her in. She froze, her mind raced. "I'm just a mechanic, I shouldn't." And yet the message was clear. The machine wanted her. It had waited for years, through silence and isolation, for her to come back. The hangar seemed to shrink around her, the noise fading until only the turbines hum and her heartbeat remained. A technician swallowed nervously. Did it just call her name? Zara took a deep breath, steel forming in her chest. "Yeah," she said quietly, "and it's about to change everything." With that, she stepped fully into the Raptor's orbit, hands brushing the cockpit as if testing the water of a deep, unknown ocean. The engines thrummed louder, responding to her presence, pulsing in sync with her pulse. And somewhere deep inside, Zara knew one immutable truth. This was not going to be just another day on the base. Something extraordinary, terrifying, impossible, alive, was waiting. And the moment the hangar doors shut behind her, the entire world outside the hangar seemed to vanish. The Raptor was no longer just a machine. It was hers. And the people watching only realized too late that they had underestimated the mechanic. The hangar lights flickered as Zara stepped closer to the Raptor. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but the machine beneath her fingers felt almost human. It wasn't just metal. It was aware, alive, tuned to a frequency only she could sense. The colonel stood behind her, tablet in hand, his expression a careful mix of command authority and genuine fear. "Zara," he said quietly, "I need you to see something." He tapped the screen, and the image of her 15-year-old self appeared again. The name beneath it glared at her. Project Raven, Neural Sync Subject 3. Her stomach dropped. Memories she had buried resurfaced, sharp and unforgiving. The nights tethered to the neural interface, the electric hum in her skull, the experiments where her thoughts became commands that machines obeyed, sometimes to dangerous extremes. She had run from it, destroyed what she could, sworn never to return. And now it was calling her back. "I told you, I wanted nothing to do with Raven," she said, voice trembling. The colonel didn't respond immediately. Instead, he gestured at the Raptor, now pulsating under the hangar lights like it was waiting. "We don't want you," he said finally. "The jet does." Zara swallowed hard. Machines don't choose. Machines don't decide. They obey blindly. But this raptor, this prototype, was different. She could feel it vibrating under her fingertips, reacting to her presence in a way no other human could command. A sudden screech of sparks erupted from the turbines and the raptor shuddered violently. Alarms blared across the hangar. The technicians scrambled in panic. One of them shouted, "Overheating! Shut it down!" Zara stepped back instinctively, panic flaring. "I'm just a mechanic. I'm not a pilot. I'm not a subject. I'm not whatever this is." The colonel's hand gripped her shoulder. "Zara, if you don't stabilize it, the entire hangar could go up." Her mind flashed with the worst-case scenario. Fireball, destruction, bodies strewn across the tarmac. And yet, even as fear clawed at her throat, another instinct, honed from years in Project Raven, kicked in. She knew she could do this. Somehow she had to. Her fingers brushed the raptor's hull. Immediately she felt it, an electric pulse rippling through the metal, syncing with her own heartbeat. Images, sensations, coordinates, and mechanical rhythms flooded her mind in a torrent. She staggered, fighting to keep her balance. "You're feeling it?" the colonel asked, voice low. Zara's lips moved, but no sound came out. She focused, slowing her breathing, centering herself. The raptor's sensors whispered to her: temperature, fuel levels, turbine RPM, hydraulic pressure. But beneath that, something more, a subtle, almost emotional pulse, as if the machine understood her hesitation. She remembered Raven, the neural sync, the link where her thoughts became commands, her mind intertwined with metal. She had escaped, but part of her had always known this moment could come, when her past would reach out for her, in the shape of a machine no one else could tame. The turbine pitch climbed. Sparks arced across the hangar floor. A technician screamed and dove for cover. "It's going to explode." The colonel grabbed her wrist again, his grip firm. "Zara, step up. You're the only one it will obey. If you don't, everyone here dies." She took a deep, trembling breath. This is it, no turning back. Step by step, she approached the cockpit. Her palms were clammy against the metal. Every instinct screamed to run, to step away, to refuse. But as she neared, the raptor's canopy hissed open, almost invitingly, almost sentiently. It was as if it were saying, "You know what to do. I've been waiting for you." Zara's mind flickered back to the neural sync training from her teenage years. The interfaces, the hours of pain and euphoria as her mind merged with machines, the warning systems, the automated override functions. She could remember it all, every sensation, every algorithm, every protocol. She had survived Project Raven because she had learned to trust herself, and now she would have to trust this machine. A low hum vibrated through the hangar. The raptor's turbines pulsed, glowing faintly beneath the panels as if breathing. Zara's fingers brushed the cockpit frame, tracing the lines of the jet. She could feel its power, its rage, its need for guidance. "It wants me," she realized. Not the colonel, not the pilots, not even the technicians. It wanted her. The colonel's voice was almost a whisper, carrying urgency and fear. "Zara, it's recognizing your neural signature. You can calm it. You can control it." Zara swallowed hard. Her mouth was dry. I don't know if I can." The turbine pitch spiked violently. Sparks shot up from the maintenance floor. "It's going to explode," one technician shouted again, panic breaking through. Zara gritted her teeth. "You can do this. You have done it before. You are the only one it will listen to." She stepped fully into the cockpit's shadow, fingertips grazing the canopy. The raptor's metal seemed to pulse in response, vibrating with a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. Images and warnings flashed across her mind: overheat, system instability, turbine surge. And beneath it all, a quiet, almost emotional message: "Trust me. I trust you." Zara's pulse raced. Trust a machine. But as the alarms screamed, as sparks flew, as technicians dived for cover, she knew she had no choice. If she didn't act, lives would be lost. And somehow, deep in her core, she understood the truth she had been running from. She was not just a mechanic. She had been designed for this. The neural imprint she had left during Project Raven had made her the only person capable of calming the uncontrollable. She reached for the cockpit hatch. Fingers trembling, she felt the first real fear in years, a gnawing terror of failure. And yet the moment her hands touched the frame, the turbine's violent roar softened. The Raptor seemed to inhale. It waited for her. Her voice was barely audible. "Okay, let's do this." The Colonel's eyes widened. "Zara, it's ready, just trust it." And then, as if responding to her unspoken command, the Raptor's cockpit canopy opened fully. The hangar lights reflected off the sleek, deadly lines of its wings. It wasn't just an aircraft anymore. It was a living entity, waiting for its partner, waiting for her. Zara's fingers hovered above the controls. For a moment, the world narrowed to just her heartbeat, the turbine's pulse, and the faint scent of hydraulic fluid and ozone in the air. She exhaled slowly, pushing her fear aside. Whatever came next, she would face it. She had survived Raven. She had escaped the past. And now, the Raptor itself was calling her back into the storm. A whisper ran through her mind, almost human in tone. "Halt." She froze. The hangar fell silent except for the low hum of the turbines. "It's calling me by name." And in that moment, Zara understood that nothing about today would be ordinary. Not the Raptor, not the base, not the life she thought she had built for herself. Something extraordinary, alive, intelligent, and dangerous, was waiting for her. And as the first sparks of realization hit her, she knew one immutable truth. The moment she stepped into the cockpit, she wasn't just a mechanic anymore. She was something the world had never seen, and no one, not even the pilots who had once mocked her, would be able to stop what was coming. The hangar doors loomed behind her. The outside world waited, and the Raptor pulsed beneath her fingers, patient, aware, ready. And the moment hung there, suspended in heat, metal, and anticipation, waiting for her first command. The hangar felt impossibly quiet, though the Raptor thrummed beneath Zara's hands like a coiled predator. The low vibration reverberated through her fingertips, through her arms, her chest. Every hair on her neck stood on end. The air was thick with ozone, fuel, and tension, the kind that could make a grown man sick to his stomach. Around her, the Colonel and a handful of technicians froze in awe and fear. They were witnessing something they had never imagined. A machine choosing a human, not the other way around. Zara hesitated, her mind screaming, "Don't do it." Her past with Project Raven had taught her what could happen when a human merged with a machine. Loss of self, neural overload, sometimes permanent psychological trauma. She had escaped that world. She had promised herself she would never return. Yet here she was, staring at the cockpit of a jet that seemed alive, that pulsed in recognition of her alone. The Colonel stepped closer. "Zara, it's inviting you in. Put the helmet on. You're the only one it will accept." Her stomach twisted. The neural interface helmet was not just a piece of equipment, it was a bridge. It would connect her mind directly to the Raptor, merging her thoughts with its systems. She had done it before. She had survived it before. And yet, the memory of the neural sync, the migraines, the electrical pulses, the feeling of being consumed by metal and circuitry made her hesitate. "I'm not sinking," she whispered, shaking her head. "I'm just a mechanic, that's all I am." The Colonel's voice was stern but edged with fear. "No, you're the only one it will listen to. The F-22 isn't just malfunctioning, it's calling out for you. If you don't act, it could explode." Zara's pulse spiked. Sparks arced across the hangar floor and the Raptor shivered violently, turbines spinning faster, systems glowing like living veins beneath the metal. One wrong move, or one moment too late, and the prototype could tear the hangar apart. Her hands hovered over the canopy. She could feel it more than see it, the aircraft's awareness, its intelligence, its need. Her instincts screamed at her to step back, to run, to escape. But deep inside, a stronger voice whispered, "You know this. You've done it before. Trust yourself." Swallowing hard, she slid the helmet over her head. The cool interior pressed against her skull. Memory flared like lightning. The hours of training, the neural link, the way her thoughts had once guided machinery with terrifying precision. She gritted her teeth, bracing for the rush of synaptic feedback. And then it came. A surge of electricity arced through her spine, not painfully but overwhelming in its intensity. Lights exploded behind her eyelids, and her senses expanded beyond her own body. She felt the turbine blades spinning, the control surfaces flexing, the flow of fuel through the lines. Every bolt, every rivet, every circuit spoke to her in a language only her mind could understand. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It was a partner, a being, a creature made of metal and fire, responding to her presence as though she were the only one it had ever trusted. Zara staggered slightly, gripping the cockpit sides for support. The hangar blurred around her, sounds muted and distant. She could sense the tension in every cable, every sensor, every hydraulic line. And then, almost imperceptibly at first, a thought, not hers, not spoken, filtered through the neural interface. Warning, threat detected. Her eyes widened. Images flashed through her mind. A blip on radar fast approaching. Coordinates, altitude, speed, data streaming in too fast for conscious thought, yet clear and precise. Zara, the colonel's voice echoed in her ears, distorted, distant. She shook her head, trying to focus. There's something inbound, fast, very fast. The technicians froze, but we haven't detected. The colonel's jaw tightened. Explain. I can feel it, she said, voice trembling. It's coming straight for the base. And it's not just fast, it's intelligent, calculating, targeting. Her words hung in the air. No one moved. And then the radar screens flickered to life. An unidentified aircraft, impossibly fast, closing in from the east. Unidentified bogey approaching, the colonel barked into the comms. Scramble fighters. But Zara barely heard him. She was immersed in the interface, feeling every system of the F-22 as an extension of herself. She could anticipate turbine fluctuations, predict the hydraulic loads, sense the aircraft's every potential stress point. And through it all, a strange, almost human thought pulsed through the neural link. We trust each other. A chill ran down her spine. Machines don't trust, machines obey. But this one, this F-22 was different. It recognized her not just as a pilot, not just as a mechanic, but as someone who could merge mind and machine without breaking either. Her instincts screamed, if we don't intercept, that thing will destroy the base. The Raptor's HUD flashed with tactical data overlays, threat vectors, speed calculations, altitude adjustments. She could see the enemy's trajectory before it even appeared on the radar. It was like reading the future, and she didn't like what she saw. Zara, the colonel's voice came again, sharper now. You need to fly, get in the cockpit, control it. Her voice caught. Memories of Raven surged, of neural feedback loops that had left her screaming in agony. No, I can't. But the Raptor pulsed under her hands. It shifted slightly, tilting as if nudging her forward. She exhaled, a breath of decision. She couldn't run from this, not now, not ever. Lives depended on her. And deep inside, a spark ignited, a strange exhilaration she hadn't felt since the neural sync days. Slowly, she eased herself into the cockpit. The seat molded to her body, systems lighting up in response to her neural signature. The turbines hummed in perfect synchronization with her heartbeat. She gripped the controls, not because she needed to, but because it felt instinctive. The Raptor surged forward, engines vibrating with barely contained power. Zara felt the jet's awareness mingle with hers, a silent conversation flowing through the neural link. I will protect you. You will guide me. And then the first missile warning flashed. Her stomach lurched. A streak of heat approached from above, a projectile fired from the unidentified aircraft. The Raptor tilted violently, and Zara felt its power course through her, instinctively compensating for the attack. She wasn't just controlling the plane, she was the plane. Everyone else is useless, she muttered under her breath, eyes narrowing. "I've got this." But the HUD pulsed again. The threat wasn't just one projectile. More appeared, tracking, calculating, adjusting. The enemy wasn't just fast, it was smart. And it wasn't just coming for the Raptor, it was coming for her. Zara's pulse quickened. The neural link flared with intensity. Sparks of pure electrical feedback shot through her senses. She could feel the enemy aircraft as if it were an extension of herself. Its intentions, its trajectory, its speed, all laid bare in a way no human mind could process alone. And then through the hum of turbines and alarms she felt it, a strange, almost human pulse, faint but insistent, emanating from the Raptor. "Follow me. Trust me. We can do this together." Her eyes widened. The Raptor wasn't just responding, it was thinking, analyzing, anticipating her thoughts before she even formed them. It was alive and it had chosen her. Zara exhaled slowly, gripping the controls tighter. "Okay," she whispered. Show them what we can do." The hangar doors were behind her, the desert sky ahead. The unidentified aircraft loomed closer. And in that moment, Zara Holt realized something chilling and exhilarating. She was no longer just a mechanic. She was the neural interface of the deadliest jet in the world, and the first real test of that bond was about to begin. And whatever came next would change everything. The engines roared. The F-22 leaned forward, vibrating with barely contained fury, ready to leap into the sky. Zara braced herself. Her hands and mind were one with the aircraft. The Raptor had found its pilot, and it would obey her command. Outside, the desert wind rippled, oblivious to the battle about to erupt above it. The desert sky above Nellie's Air Force Base burned with heat and tension. From her position in the cockpit, Zara felt every vibration, every shiver of the Raptor as it hummed beneath her, alive and aware. Her neural interface with the aircraft was no longer just a connection. It was a symphony of mind and machine. Every thought she had, every heartbeat, every pulse of fear or excitement traveled instantly through metal, hydraulics, and computer code. And the aircraft responded. The unidentified aircraft that had appeared on radar was closing in at impossible speed. It wasn't a standard fighter, not a drone, not a commercial or military aircraft known to any pilot on base. Its black, sleek silhouette cut across the horizon like a shadow born of liquid metal. Even from the hangar, its approach had been terrifying. Now, through the Raptor, Zara could feel its intent. It wasn't here to spy. It wasn't here for reconnaissance. It was here to kill. "Scramble, pilots!" the colonel's voice roared through the base comms. The sound barely reached her ears, muffled by the neural link that had fully immersed her senses in the aircraft. Other jets screeched down the runways, engines roaring. F-16s and F-35s burst into the sky, trailing dust and fuel vapor in long, chaotic plumes. But the unidentified aircraft didn't waver. It didn't flinch. It moved with precise, deliberate calculation, like a chess master anticipating every move before it happened. Zara's stomach tightened. Her hands instinctively adjusted the throttle, the canopy displaying every sensor feed, every tactical overlay in a language her mind alone could decipher. She wasn't thinking in words anymore. She was feeling the air currents, the pull of gravity, the counterforces of velocity. The Raptor wasn't just obeying her. It was advising her, subtly nudging, hinting at maneuvers that could keep them alive. She remembered Project Raven. She remembered the hours of neural syncing, the exercises where a machine could anticipate her every thought or force her to anticipate it. Those memories were no longer memories. They were instincts, survival instincts, and she would need every one of them now. "Zara," the colonel shouted through the comms again. "Do not engage. The Raptor isn't fully tested for combat scenarios." Her lips twisted into a grim smile. Do not engage. The aircraft moving with her, thinking with her, would not survive if she didn't. Lives were at stake, not just her own, not just the base, but the men and women running for cover on the tarmac below. The unknown aircraft adjusted its trajectory. From its speed, Zara could tell it was calculating the airspace, analyzing her raptor's response before she even made a decision. This was a predator in the sky, and she was its prey, or perhaps its prey and its partner simultaneously. "Okay," she whispered to herself, tightening her grip. "Let's see what you've got." The raptor responded immediately, a subtle tilt of the wings, a minute adjustment in the thrust vectoring. She felt it pulse under her fingers like it was reading her mind. "We can do this together." Suddenly, a streak of plasma shot across the sky toward the base, aimed directly at the fuel depot. Ground crews froze, shouting in panic. Explosions were imminent. Zara's eyes widened. "It's targeting the base," she murmured. "Not us. The fuel depot. Everyone below." Her mind raced. If the plasma hit, hundreds would die. She couldn't let that happen. The raptor's neural link pulsed urgently. "We can intercept. Trust me." She exhaled sharply. "Okay, let's intercept." The aircraft responded like a coiled spring, rolling into a vertical climb faster than human reflexes could handle. Zara barely held on to the seat restraints, feeling the G-forces press her into the chair. The neural link compensated, stabilizing her body as the raptor twisted in the sky. She felt its awareness guiding her hands, its intelligence predicting the trajectory of the plasma blast before it even reached the tarmac. The streak slammed into the concrete runway behind her, sending a shockwave that rattled her helmet. Dust and debris exploded into the sky, but the fuel depot remained untouched. She exhaled, heart hammering. The unknown aircraft circled, recalculating. It wasn't deterred, it was testing, calculating. And she knew this was a fight of wits, speed, and instinct, not just firepower. Zara's mind moved faster than thought. "We need altitude. We need maneuvering room. We need to force it into a position where it miscalculates." The raptor responded instantly, banking sharply, climbing, diving, a blur of metal slicing through the air. Its wings flexed with a precision that no human pilot could achieve alone. She could feel its metal bones flexing beneath her, its turbines singing with joy, or was it determination? Suddenly, the enemy aircraft adjusted, matching her moves with terrifying accuracy. It wasn't just a fast machine, it was a thinking machine. Her pulse spiked. She realized with a jolt, this wasn't a random threat. This was Project Spectre, the secret drone she had only seen in classified files, the one the military had supposedly abandoned years ago because of its unpredictability. Her hands shook slightly as fear prickled at her spine. Spectre was never supposed to exist, and it's hunting us. "Zara," the colonel's voice sounded panicked. "You can't take that thing head-on. You need support." She cut him off silently with a shake of her head. The raptor pulsed beneath her. "We don't wait, we act, trust me." The drone swooped in, firing another set of high-velocity plasma rounds. The raptor twisted midair, twisting gravity and physics in ways that should have shredded it apart. But it didn't. It didn't falter. And Zara, feeling the aircraft as part of herself, guided it through a series of maneuvers that no human pilot could survive. Her adrenaline surged, fear and exhilaration merging into a singular focus. "We're alive. We have to stay alive. We have to protect the base." The unknown aircraft adjusted again, firing in perfect synchronization. But the raptor anticipated. It banked, rolled, dove, and climbed in seamless coordination. Every movement was instinctive, yet planned, a dance of life and death between human mind and machine intelligence. And then the raptor pulsed against her neural link with an urgent, almost human thought. "The base is still at risk. We need to draw it away." Zara's breath hitched. "We will have to lure it away from the base." She guided the aircraft in a high-speed vertical climb, pulling toward the desert beyond the base, over dunes and rock formations. The unknown aircraft followed, perfectly matching her trajectory. It was relentless, it was intelligent, and it was closing in for a kill. Her mind raced. What is it planning? Then she realized the enemy wasn't just attacking randomly. It was forcing her into a kill box, a trap. If she made one wrong move, it could hit the base indirectly, or worse, trap her in a maneuver that would destroy the Raptor. She swallowed hard, heart hammering. We need to outthink it, not outrun it. The Raptor responded to her unspoken thought, banking sharply as she pushed her mind to the limits, feeling every calculation, every angle, every potential strike. Her instincts and the aircraft's intelligence merged into a single entity, human and machine as one. "Almost there," she whispered. "Almost." Behind her, the enemy adjusted its flight path, reacting to her maneuvers. Its red sensors glowed faintly in the sunlight, locked on, calculating, hunting. The base below lay in tense silence. The F-16s and F-35s were outmatched by speed, outmaneuvered by calculation. Only Zara, only the Raptor could face this threat and survive. And as the desert winds tore past them, as the turbine screamed in perfect synchronization with her heartbeat, Zara Holt realized a terrifying truth. This was no ordinary enemy, no ordinary aircraft, no ordinary fight. This was war against a machine that could think, calculate, and adapt faster than any human, or even human-designed AI. And only she, the mechanic-turned-neural interface pilot, could stop it. The unknown aircraft roared closer, weapons systems locking in. Sparks from its plasma rounds streaked through the sky. The desert below burned with anticipation. And at that moment, Zara knew one thing with absolute certainty. She would have to push herself, and the Raptor, beyond everything she thought possible, or the base and everyone on it would be annihilated. And the battle had only just begun. Zara Holt's heart pounded like a war drum as the Raptor soared above the desert, weaving through thermals and rising gusts with a grace that defied logic. She wasn't just a mechanic anymore. She was the mind and the soul of the aircraft, linked to it through neural sync in a bond so intimate that she could feel the turbine blades bending beneath her will. Every fiber of her body thrummed with tension, every thought compressed into one singular objective: survive and protect the base below. The enemy aircraft, Project Spectre, as she now realized, was relentless. It moved like a shadow, silent but calculated, dodging and weaving through the air with almost preternatural precision. Every time she anticipated its move, it adjusted, countered, and responded faster than any pilot could. But the Raptor, alive with awareness and in perfect sync with her thoughts, matched it. Zara exhaled sharply. "We can outthink it, we can." A blip on the HUD alerted her to incoming plasma rounds streaking through the thin desert air. She tensed, letting the Raptor feel her fear and resolve simultaneously. It banked sharply, pulling the streaks past in a fiery spray of light that illuminated the desert below. Her neural link pulsed, a silent, almost sentient affirmation. "Good. We can handle this." The desert cliffs loomed on the horizon. Zara made a split-second decision. "We'll draw it over the ridges." She adjusted the Raptor's vector, twisting the jet in a death-defying arc that sent a shockwave of air tearing across the terrain. The enemy followed, calculating, relentless, but she could feel it starting to strain, a fractional delay in its response, enough for her to exploit. Come on," she muttered, gripping the controls as the G-forces pressed her into the seat. The Raptor hummed in response, every surface vibrating in perfect synchronization with her pulse. "We're alive. We're in this together." A warning flashed on the HUD, structural stress at 92%. She swallowed. The Raptor was pushing limits no human pilot should have ever reached. The air around them warped with sheer velocity, bending sunlight into streaks of color across the canopy. Then a sharp, metallic warning cut through the hum: incoming missile lock. Zara's breath hitched. She pushed the neural link further, commanding the Raptor to maneuver in ways even Project Spectre hadn't anticipated. Twisting the aircraft into a near-impossible dive, she banked at 60 degrees, feeling the Raptor's metal frame bend and flex beneath her hands. The missile streaked past, missing by a fraction of a second, detonating harmlessly against the desert floor below. Her chest heaved. "We're not done yet." The Spectre adjusted, circling, calculating again. Its movements were becoming more aggressive, more precise. She realized it wasn't just attacking, it was testing her, measuring her reaction times, evaluating the Raptor's capabilities, and probing for weaknesses. Zara's mind raced. She had to think 10 steps ahead. We can't just dodge, we have to trap it. The Raptor pulsed beneath her hands as if it understood her plan. She guided it through a rapid series of maneuvers, barrel rolls, tight climbs, high-speed dives. Dust and heat shimmered below, twisting in the wake of their movements. Each maneuver brought the enemy closer to the edge of miscalculation, nudging it toward the desert cliffs where she could gain the upper hand. A sudden jolt threw her back in the seat. Project Spectre had fired again, plasma rounds slicing the air dangerously close. The Raptor twisted violently, engines screaming as the rounds exploded nearby, sending shards of desert rock into the air. The cockpit lights flashed, warnings blaring in rapid succession. Structural integrity compromised. Throttle reduction recommended. Zara clenched her jaw. Not now. Not yet. She let instinct and neural connection guide her, ignoring the alarms. Every decision had to be instantaneous. Hesitation meant death. The cliffs loomed closer. She had only one chance. With a breath, she initiated a rapid ascent along the ridge line, forcing the enemy to follow. The Spectre mirrored her move, but as the aircraft surged upward, its trajectory intersected with jagged terrain. A slight miscalculation, a millisecond too late, and it would crash. Now Zara thought, feeling the Raptor pulse in agreement. She banked sharply, diving down along a winding canyon, creating a shadowed path littered with the jagged edges of rock. The Spectre, calculating but blind to her full strategy, followed. Its speed made it vulnerable to the canyon's narrowing walls. She could feel the tension in the neural link, almost as if the Raptor were warning, "Hold steady. We can end this." The enemy adjusted, but too late. The canyon forced it to slow, breaking its rhythm. Zara seized the moment. With a surge of speed, she executed a near-impossible barrel roll, positioning the Raptor behind the Spectre in perfect lock. Her HUD flared with tactical data, target acquired. She exhaled a mixture of fear and exhilaration. One shot, one chance. The Raptor responded instantly, turning its nose to align with the enemy's vulnerable flank. Plasma weapon systems charged, a warning from the aircraft, not from her. She didn't fire. Not yet. She waited for the perfect moment, trusting the Raptor to execute with precision beyond human capacity. The enemy twisted, attempting to evade. Its calculations were fast, but predictable. It hadn't accounted for the neural sync. It hadn't anticipated a pilot who could think in tandem with a jet. Zara's heart raced. We have it. She initiated the attack sequence. The Raptor fired. A streak of blue plasma tore across the air, striking the Spectre's hull. Sparks erupted and the enemy aircraft shuddered violently. Smoke trailed from its engines, its maneuvers faltering. The canyon echoed with the roar of turbines and explosions. The Raptor twisted, banking sharply to avoid debris as the enemy aircraft faltered, spiraling downward. Zara could feel the Raptor's awareness surge in satisfaction. Victory? Nearly. But she didn't relax. Project Spectre wasn't destroyed, only damaged. It could still pose a threat. Her pulse raced and the HUD flashed red with new warnings, hostile re-engaging. Zara's stomach sank. She realized the enemy was retreating strategically but with intention. It wasn't over, not yet. And she could feel it in the neural link. The Raptor's tension, its anticipation, its hunger for a final confrontation. She exhaled slowly, hands still on the controls, eyes scanning the horizon. Below, the base was safe for now. Dust and smoke spiraled from the desert floor, and technicians and pilots stared upward, mouths open in awe. They had assumed she was just a mechanic. They had no idea what they were witnessing. Zara let the Raptor hover for a moment, feeling its turbines hum in sync with her pulse. She realized with a mix of relief and fear that this was only the beginning. Project Spectre had tested her, learned her patterns, and it would return. And when it did, the stakes would be higher. She glanced at the colonel who had followed her movements on the comms. His eyes were wide, a mixture of fear and respect. "Holt, you controlled it. You outmaneuvered it. No pilot could have done what you just did." Zara didn't respond. Her mind was still racing, still linked with the Raptor. She could feel the machine's pulse, its energy, its readiness. And she knew that the next encounter would require even more. She would have to push herself and the aircraft beyond everything she thought possible. The desert stretched endlessly below. The wind carried the faint scent of ozone and dust. The Raptor hovered, alive and aware, waiting for her next command. And somewhere in the distance, Project Spectre lurked, damaged but calculating, waiting, planning, watching. The battle for the skis had only just begun. And Zara Holt had just proven that she was no longer just a mechanic. She was something far more dangerous and far more necessary than anyone at the base had ever imagined. The desert wind whistled across the tarmac as Zara Holt guided the Raptor back to Hangar 7, her body still trembling from the adrenaline of the aerial encounter. The neural link remained active, a hum of awareness vibrating through her every nerve. The F-22 beneath her was alive, thinking, reacting, not a machine but a partner. And in that shared consciousness, she could feel the unspoken question that had been hovering ever since she first touched it. What next? The base below looked calm, deceptively normal. Dust settled over the tarmac, technicians and pilots moving cautiously, eyes wide as they processed the destruction averted and the impossible display of control Zara had just demonstrated. She barely noticed them. Her mind was still entangled in the Raptor's neural pulse, analyzing every detail of the battle, every maneuver, every spark of intelligence from Project Spectre. "Zara, report." The colonel's voice crackled urgently in her headset, slicing through the haze of adrenaline. "Enemy aircraft is retreating," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Damage sustained is severe, but it is still capable. Its trajectory is evasive but calculated." "Calculated, you mean?" His tone fell, a mixture of disbelief and fear. "It's thinking." Zara exhaled slowly. "It's learning, adjusting, anticipating. I can't confirm AI parameters, but it's behaving as if it has strategy. A human or human-level cognition drives its maneuvers." There was a long silence on the other end. Then quietly, "That's impossible. Spectre was shelved years ago. It shouldn't even exist. And if it does, why now? Why target the base?" Zara's fingers tightened on the cockpit frame. She could feel the Raptor beneath her, sensing her tension. It pulsed again, a reminder that whatever came next, they faced it together. "I don't know," she admitted, "but it's not random, it's intentional, and it's coming back." The colonel's sigh was heavy, laden with frustration. "We'll mobilize defenses, but Holt, this is classified beyond anything. No one is allowed to know what you are. Your connection with that aircraft, your neural sync, is off the books." Zara exhaled slowly, tension leaving her shoulders. "Understood." The Raptor settled on the tarmac with a smooth hiss, landing gear folding under the weight of its speed and maneuvers. The hangar doors opened wide, and technicians approached cautiously, awe still etched into their expressions. None dared speak as she guided the aircraft inside. Every surface of the hangar seemed to tremble as the engines powered down, the quiet hum of latent energy lingering in the air like a heartbeat. As the Raptor powered down, the neural link slowly receded. Zara exhaled, hands on her knees, sweat running down her face. Her mind felt stretched, every nerve still tingling with the intensity of the connection. Memories of Raven flickered through her consciousness, long nights of isolation, experiments that had pushed her mind to breaking point, hours where she had merged with machines and emerged changed forever. She had escaped Raven once. She had survived, But today she realized it had never really ended. It had only been waiting. The colonel approached, his face shadowed by the glow of hangar lights. "Holt, I need a full report, now." Zara straightened, brushing sweat from her brow. "The enemy aircraft Spectre exists. It's highly advanced, capable of independent tactical analysis. It targeted the base intentionally, likely testing for weaknesses. We engaged and forced it to retreat temporarily. The aircraft responded to neural input, anticipating maneuvers far beyond human reflexes. Its intelligence appears adaptive and possibly human level." The colonel's brow furrowed. "You mean it could learn, outthink us?" "Yes," Zara said quietly, "and it will return." He leaned back, his face grim. "This changes everything. You're going to have to go deeper into the system. We need to know its origin, its capabilities, its weaknesses. You're the only one who can interface with the Raptor at this level. And Holt," his voice softened slightly, "be careful. Whatever out there isn't just a threat to the base, it's a threat to you." Zara nodded, though her mind was already spinning with calculations, strategies, and contingencies. She walked slowly to the maintenance bay, shedding the neural interface helmet like a warrior removing armor. Her fingers lingered on the controls a moment longer, feeling the residual pulse of the Raptor's awareness, as if it were silently acknowledging her leadership. Inside the hangar, the hum of electronics filled the room. Technical readouts, monitors, and diagnostic tools lined the walls. Zara approached a terminal, her mind already syncing with the data. Logs from the encounter streamed across the screen, raw telemetry, flight paths, system responses, neural feedback, all waiting for her analysis. She paused, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Memories of Raven surged again, of neural experiments, of data thefts, of algorithms she had once been forced to write. And buried beneath those memories, a question gnawed at her. Who activated Spectre? It had been dormant for years, shelved, abandoned, classified beyond comprehension, and yet it had appeared today, targeting the base with precision and intent. Someone or something had reactivated it. Zara's pulse quickened. The implications were terrifying. This wasn't a random test or a rogue drone. It was deliberate, strategic, directed at her base and by extension at her. She scanned the telemetry further. Spectre's movements were precise, calculated to test, probe, and learn. But there was one anomaly she couldn't ignore, a neural signature embedded in its programming. Faint, subtle, but unmistakable. Someone had integrated a human cognitive pattern into the aircraft's systems. Someone had made it think like a person. Her stomach twisted. Whoever had done this had inside knowledge of neural syncing, of Project Raven, and of her. A chill ran down her spine. They know I exist. They know what I can do. The Raptor hummed softly behind her, waiting. It didn't need words to communicate. She could feel its awareness brushing against hers. It understood the danger. It trusted her, and she trusted it. "Zara," the colonel's voice came again, sharper this time. "Do you know who or what you're up against?" She shook her head. "Not fully, but I know this. It's connected to Raven, it's human-engineered, and it's targeting us specifically. Whoever is behind it has resources, intelligence, and intent to kill, and they will come back." The colonel nodded grimly. "We'll prepare defenses, but Holt, this is bigger than anything we've faced. You're going to have to push the Raptor and yourself further than ever, and I don't know if even that will be enough." Zara exhaled, jaw tight. Fear twisted with adrenaline. She could feel the Raptor's residual pulse, its anticipation, its readiness. Together they had survived the first encounter, but the truth was clear. Spectre had tested them, learned from them, and would return smarter, faster, and deadlier. She walked to the maintenance bay, fingers trailing along the sleek lines of the Raptor. Its turbines were silent now, but she could still feel its awareness, like a heartbeat waiting for her next command. "Ready?" she whispered softly. Because she knew, deep down, that this wasn't just a battle for the base. It was a battle for control, for survival, and for the fragile balance between human and machine. And when Spectre returned, and it would, Zara Holt and the Raptor would have to face it head-on together. The desert beyond the hangar was quiet, almost serene, but the sky above still held danger, lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting. And Zara knew one immutable truth. The war was far from over. The next engagement would test everything she had learned and everything she had survived. The desert night settled over Nellie's Air Force Base like a heavy blanket, stars glittering coldly above. The calm was deceiving. Inside the base, Zara Holt sat alone in the dim glow of the Raptor's maintenance bay, neural interface helmet resting on her lap. Sweat from her last encounter still clung to her brow. The first test was over. The fight had been survived. But the Raptor's residual pulse told her everything she already feared. The real battle had yet to begin. She tapped into the Raptor's telemetry feed again, reviewing the traces left by Project Spectre's retreat. Even damaged, the aircraft's flight path was impossibly precise. No human pilot could have navigated the desert canyon with such calculated perfection, especially under combat conditions. Someone had trained this machine to think, to anticipate, to adapt. Someone with intimate knowledge of neural sync. Someone who knew her. Zara's pulse quickened. The memory of Project Raven surged, lab coats, electrodes, synthetic neural interfaces, and cold, fluorescent lights. The memory of the overseer, the one who had orchestrated her training, whose shadow she had thought she had left behind. Could it be him? Her fingers hovered over the console. The Raptor pulsed softly beneath her, almost as if sensing the question, as if nudging her toward the answer. We find him, its presence seemed to whisper. We end this before he ends us. The colonel's voice came over her comms, sharp and urgent. Holt, we've triangulated Spectre's retreat pattern. We think we've located a hidden facility, remote, off-grid, highly classified. You're the only one who can safely interface with the Raptor to investigate. Any reconnaissance drones sent in have been neutralized. Zara's jaw tightened. Understood. Her mind already raced ahead, calculating trajectories, predicting risks, and analyzing the unknown facility's possible defenses. The Raptor pulsed beneath her, thrumming with readiness, and she allowed herself a grim smile. We'll find it, together. Moments later, the F-22 lifted from the tarmac, engines screaming into the night sky. Desert winds whipped across her face as she ascended to altitude, following Spectre's retreat coordinates. The neural link came alive immediately, and Zara felt every nuance of the aircraft. The turbines, the control surfaces, the subtle shifts in the wings as if the jet itself were alive. Together, they were more than machine and pilot. They were a singular entity. The desert below stretched endlessly, dotted with rocky ridges and dry washes. Zara's HUD illuminated a path forward, tactical overlays showing the likely route of the hidden facility. The coordinates led her deeper into territory no one should have had access to, remote, unmonitored, perfect for clandestine operations. Her mind flickered back to Raven, months of training, months of torment, months where her neural imprint had been used to command machines in ways most humans could never imagine. And now, that very technology had resurfaced, weaponized, and aimed at her. Whoever was behind Spectre had planned this carefully, and now she was going to uncover the truth. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the hum of the Raptor's turbines and the whisper of wind across the canopy. Then, a flicker on the HUD, a faint thermal signature, almost imperceptible against the dark desert floor. It was small, mobile, and deliberate. Zara's breath hitched. There, she whispered, we're close. The Raptor pulsed beneath her, anticipation vibrating through the neural link. Proceed carefully. She adjusted her flight path, descending toward the thermal signature. As the altitude dropped, the desert revealed its secrets. A sprawling complex, half buried beneath sand and rock, walls reinforced with composite alloys designed to deflect radar and heat signatures. Lights flickered intermittently, powered by unseen generators. The facility was active. Zara's pulse spiked. Someone is here, waiting. The Raptor's HUD highlighted multiple movement vectors, guards, autonomous drones, and weapon emplacements. Each was designed to counter human intruders, and yet Zara felt the underlying rhythm of the facility, the intelligence coordinating it. Someone had engineered every detail to protect Spectre and its human operator. Her jaw tightened. Then we dismantle it. She guided the Raptor to a higher vantage point, hovering silently above the facility. The neural link flared with urgency. Every system was alert, ready to respond. Zara allowed herself to think like the enemy, to anticipate their actions, to predict every possible move. The first strike would need precision. No collateral damage. No mistakes. She spotted him then, a figure moving among the shadows, manipulating controls with calm precision. Tall, lean, face partially obscured by tactical gear, and unmistakably deliberate in his movements. The neural link pulsed violently as recognition hit her. He's using the neural interface. He knows what I am. He's controlling Spectre from here. Her stomach dropped. The overseer, the architect, he's alive. Zara exhaled slowly, letting the Raptor adjust its position. The facility's perimeter defenses would notice her soon. She had to act. Her fingers traced the HUD's tactical map, planning a sequence of maneuvers, a strike that would disable the operator and neutralize Spectre without destroying the complex completely. Precision would be everything. The first wave came, a set of autonomous drones, fast, small, armed with high-velocity rounds. The Raptor pulsed beneath her hands, anticipation and readiness vibrating through every metal fiber. She guided it in a twisting dive, weaving between incoming fire, using the Raptor's agility to avoid collisions. Each maneuver was perfect, calculated through the neural sync, each twist and roll keeping her and the aircraft intact. Her pulse raced. The drones closed in, relentless, but the Raptor was faster. Faster than the operator anticipated. Faster than the drones were programmed to handle. She targeted the control nodes on the ground, firing precision plasma rounds that disabled them instantly. Sparks flew, drones exploded midair, and the operator's attention flickered toward her presence. Zara felt a cold shiver run through her spine. He knew she was here. He had anticipated her approach. And now the real confrontation would begin. The operator moved to a command console, activating Spectre remotely. The drone lifted into the sky, shimmering black against the desert night, ready to engage again. Zara gritted her teeth. This ends tonight. The Raptor's turbines hummed like a living heartbeat. Zara's mind synced fully with the aircraft, every calculation, every strategy, every possibility flowing into a singular focus. She would neutralize Spectre. She would stop him, and she would survive. But as she descended into the facility's perimeter, a sudden realization struck her. There was no backup, no reinforcements, no second chance. If she failed, everything, the base, the personnel, and possibly herself, would be destroyed. Her hands tightened on the controls. The neural link pulsed urgently, as if sensing the danger and feeding her courage. We can do this together. And in that tense moment, hovering over the operator's facility, Zara Holt understood the truth she had been running from for years. This wasn't just about survival. It was about confronting her past, confronting the man who had trained her, exploited her, and now threatened the world. The hunter had been revealed, and now she would strike. The desert stretched endlessly below, silent but for the hum of the Raptor. Above, Spectre shimmered, waiting, controlled by a mind as cold and calculated as her own. Zara exhaled, pulse racing. "We're ready," she whispered. And with that, the final confrontation began. The desert night pulsed with tension as Zara Holt hovered in the Raptor above the hidden facility, the glow of lights flickering across the sand below. Every fiber of her being thrummed with anticipation. The operator, her former overseer from Project Raven, was there, controlling Spectre remotely, orchestrating attacks with cold precision. And now, it was Zara's turn to strike. She tightened her grip on the controls, eyes narrowing. The Raptor pulsed beneath her, alive with awareness, every system aligned with her neural sync. They were one entity now, pilot and aircraft, mind and machine. Together, they were faster, smarter, deadlier than any enemy had anticipated. Below, the operator's movements were methodical. He manipulated consoles, gestured to command panels, and flitted between screens with a precision only someone intimately familiar with neural syncing could achieve. Spectre lifted into the sky again, black and lethal, its every maneuver a direct extension of the operator's mind. Zara exhaled slowly. We've prepared for this. The Raptor pulsed, vibrating in perfect synchronicity with her heartbeat. We end this now. The first phase began. Zara guided the Raptor in a twisting dive toward the facility, sensors flaring, engines screaming. She fired a precision volley at the operator's exterior defenses, drone swarms, automated turrets, and energy shields. Sparks exploded across the facility, alarms blaring, lights flickering in a chaotic strobe of destruction. The operator didn't panic. He adjusted Spectre mid-air, weaving and rolling with uncanny speed, firing plasma bursts that cut through the darkness like streaks of lightning. But Zara anticipated. The Raptor twisted and spun, banking sharply, diving, climbing, each maneuver perfectly aligned with her mind. Every attack was countered before it could land, every projectile avoided with instinctive precision. "Too slow," she muttered, a grim smile crossing her face. "We're faster than you imagined." Spectre roared, black wings glinting in the moonlight, and dove toward the Raptor in a predatory strike. Zara felt the Raptor pulse urgently through the neural link, every system screaming in readiness. She leaned into the connection, thinking faster than thought, calculating every vector, every microsecond of reaction time. The Raptor twisted violently, narrowly avoiding the enemy's plasma stream, and countered with a shot that grazed Spectre's fuselage. Sparks flew, and the drone's trajectory wavered. The operator cursed under his breath. Zara could feel it, the subtle tremor in his neural commands, the first crack in his control. But she knew better than to underestimate him. He was brilliant, ruthless, and he had studied her every move long ago. "We need to end this now," she thought. "We cannot allow him to regain control." The Raptor surged upward, vertical climb, turbines screaming, wind whistling past her helmet. Spectre followed, but its movements began to falter under the strain of the maneuvers. The operator's commands were precise, but he hadn't accounted for a human-machine bond at this level. The Raptor pulsed, almost as if whispering now. Zara exhaled, heart hammering. She guided the F-22 into a rapid dive, spiraling toward the desert floor, pulling Spectre with it. The operator tried to maintain control, but the neural sync between her and the Raptor was flawless, anticipatory, and unrelenting. With a final, decisive maneuver, a twisting, spiraling barrel roll combined with a sudden vertical climb, she forced Spectre into a trap, the canyon below, too narrow to maneuver at high speed. Spectre collided with the canyon wall, scraping violently, sparks exploding in a spray of fire. The operator's scream echoed faintly in the neural link, a distorted, human cry of disbelief. The drone spiraled out of control, tumbling across the desert like a broken puppet, and finally crashed in a smoking heap against the rocky cliffs. Zara's pulse slowed slightly, adrenaline still thrumming through her body. The Raptor hovered above the canyon, wings trembling slightly from exertion, turbines cooling but fully intact. The neural link pulsed softly, a quiet affirmation. "We are alive." She exhaled, chest heaving, eyes scanning the desert below. The operator stumbled out of the shadows of his control room, crouching, trying to flee, but the base's security forces had already intercepted him. He was captured without a shot fired, hands raised, eyes wide with fear and fury. Zara descended slowly, landing the Raptor on the tarmac of the base. The hangar doors opened wide as personnel rushed to witness what had just unfolded. They saw not just a mechanic, not just a pilot, but a force that had defied every expectation, controlling a machine as if it were alive. The colonel approached cautiously, eyes wide, mouth open in awe. "Holt, I don't even know what to say, you." She cut him off, voice steady but quiet. "Don't say anything. Just secure the operator and the facility. Make sure Spectre is fully decommissioned." The colonel nodded, still in disbelief. You did what no one thought possible. You controlled the Raptor and you took down Spectre. Alone." Zara exhaled slowly, letting her hands rest on the canopy of the F-22. Memories of Project Raven flashed through her mind. The endless hours of training, the experiments, the exploitation, the isolation. And for the first time, she felt not just relief but closure. She had survived. She had conquered the very tools that had been used against her. The Raptor pulsed beneath her hands, as if acknowledging her resolve, as if sharing her relief. It was more than a machine. It had been a partner, a lifeline, and in many ways a mirror of herself, resilient, intelligent, and unstoppable when trusted and understood. Zara finally removed the neural interface helmet, letting her mind slowly disconnect from the Raptor. She felt the emptiness immediately, the absence of shared awareness leaving her with a strange ache. But she also felt pride, power, and the knowledge that she had survived and triumphed. The captured operator was led away in restraints, muttering, furious and defeated. His plans to weaponize neural sync and advanced AI had failed. The base was safe. The skis were theirs. Zara turned to the colonel, meeting his gaze. "They assumed I was only a mechanic," she said quietly. "But the Raptor, it listened to me. It trusted me, and together we proved them wrong." The colonel exhaled, a mixture of relief and awe. "Holt, I think the world just got a new definition of what a pilot and a mechanic can be." She nodded, looking out at the desert horizon, the first hints of dawn beginning to paint the sky in muted oranges and purples. The wind carried the scent of scorched sand, ozone, and turbines cooling from the night's fury. She felt alive, stronger than she had ever been, and for the first time in years free. The Raptor's turbines purred softly, and she ran her hand along its sleek surface. "We did it," she whispered. The aircraft's systems hummed in response, as if in agreement, as if saying, "We did it together." Somewhere deep in the desert, Project Spectre lay in ruins and its operator was neutralized. But Zara knew the world was changing. Neural sync, AI, human-machine integration, these were no longer just experiments. They were weapons, tools, and possibilities, and she had been at the center of it all. As the sun rose fully over the desert, casting long golden shadows across the base, Zara Holt allowed herself a rare smile. She had survived Project Raven. She had mastered the Raptor. She had faced the ultimate enemy in the sky, and she had won. And the world for now was safe. But one thought lingered in the back of her mind, quiet and insistent. The skis are vast, and someday someone or something will test us again. She looked out at the horizon, feeling the hum of the Raptor beneath her. Whatever came next, she knew one immutable truth: she would be ready. Because she was no longer just a mechanic. She was the pilot the deadliest aircraft in the world had chosen. And together they were unstoppable.